welcome back to my channel. My name is Kalita Slia. If you're new, if you're not, then welcome. On my channel I share my perspective and my lens on how I view this reality or realm that we share collectively. I'm an angel sharing my angles. I'm multi-dimensional and a mother, and I dabble in crypto, so if you'd like to take advantage of any of the sign-up bonuses below, just look at the links and see what I go on. But hey, I kind of wanted to emit from my chest, emit from my heart today, what I feel the purpose of life is. I think I've already done a video on this, but I feel as I grow and expand, I'm remembering more what I see our realm and our reality to be. And I generally feel that we're meant to ripple by ripple, generation by generation, coil by coil, you know, as going out or from this way, whichever way you're looking at it, the toroidal field. I see you're meant to just expand, and in this expansion I see this within generations. And as you expand, so imagine you're here as a dot, the first dimension, and you expand and spiral outward. And as you expand and spiral outward, you're expanding, meaning you're expanding in awareness. You're connecting back to the all. You're connecting back together, other than being so small, because you've now spiraled out. And I see this happening in or through generations. So not just you have your own spiral out within your existence during the realm, and then it happens like a ripple effect through generations too. And I feel that each generation, each spiral out, each ripple, so to say, is to clear the previous distortions as much as possible, to clear it up as much as possible. Now, I say this, I want to share this with you because I don't experience wild things out there, but I experienced subtle things. And one of the subtle things I experienced was not by will, not like instantly when I choose, but randomly on some occasions I've tapped into my daughter and my son's timeline, and I've tapped into getting information from them from when their persona is, their character is much more developed and much more aware. So I'll share more about that video. No, I'll go more into detail about that if you'd like to know in another video, because I'm not really focused on that. I'm still kind of figuring out how I've done that, but I get a lot of data coming through. So what was coming through specifically, I get more from my daughter than my son, but what came through specifically from my daughter was, when it comes to our information, what we're kind of giving out now, like say me and the people kind of before me giving out information, what was coming through quite a lot was it's very fuzzy. It's very fuzzy, like fuzzy, meaning that there's still distortions. There's still distortions in my message, in the message you probably watch on the next YouTube video, in the YouTube video I'm gonna watch while I'm making breakfast for my children. I'm doing a video early upon rising. Well, it's not that early. It's 8:30. They're just waking up late. Anyway, they went to bed a bit late last night. So, jumping up, and I just heard them. I'm like, why? But anyway, that's their for them business. For them business. But anyway, I see that our information is fuzzy. I think it's fuzzy, and I feel because though we're tapping into higher expanded knowledge, we're tapping into it or back into it during this time, it's like that generation of children will take that to the next level. And that's what they are. They've got Pluto in Sag. Pluto in Sag. So it's like, oh yeah, they're young now, with all of this information. It's coming out, but I feel and I see what was coming through when they are of age to emit their own frequency. They will clear even more of these distortions. So yes, that's what was coming through. So I feel there are ample distortions even in my messages, and I feel it's just necessary. But this is the amazing thing about our realm. So even though distortions are there because a process is needed, clearation is needed, and distortions will be there, it's like organically it's set in place for us soul source to enter in at certain points and times to then keep clearing the distortions, basically, till the image is clear. And that image being clear is the true infinite image. Is basically going back to source, from the dot going back to source. That's people returning to God. It's the same story from a different angle, basically. So yeah, so with that being said, because distortions are necessary to be cleared, I generally feel we are just meant to allow our mind to kind of just explore and to create and be free, basically. Like, what if, because it's set in, it's literally programmed for distortions to be cleared, maybe because, or to allow us to feel comfortable to bring our imaginations out. Because I'm not gonna lie, there's so many times I'm just like, oh, what if this is the case of reality? And it could be far from it, but it doesn't matter. I'm using just my creative thought. I'm thinking, I'm just getting excited, and I really just would like to emit it out. Memories, flashbacks I get, and all of that type of stuff. But so often I feel scared because of how society has been. When people can emit something that's a bit unusual and different, it's not really reflected or greeted in the best way. People can either be put down or just anything, and then that just dampens your creativity. And I generally feel like my mind, I've got this book and I'm doing like my own studies, and it's like my mind and stuff, and how I'm not showing you that birth chart, but I've just got a lot to say. The way I view reality is just like, whoa. And then, but then there's that fear of, oh, but putting it out there because it's not always greeted in the best way, and what if it's wrong? Now, it most likely will be wrong, and this is where it's like, I understand the distortions, because distortions are going to be necessary, because eventually we need contrast to recognize, okay, now that's a distortion. But I feel it's just that acceptance of, Kalita, it's okay, you're going to emit distortions from time to time, because that's the nature of our reality. It just happens. It just happens, and collectively the generations after continue to clear the distortions, what's been emitted. So for example, there's been many truthers who I've got vast information from, who I used to listen to like a couple of years ago, who there's knowledge seekers, 12th house shit. But then I go back to some now and I'm just like, ooh, it's like the universe doesn't sync anymore, it doesn't harmonize, there's no one verse. Like, I'm seeing the distortions, and it's not necessarily like they're purposely out there saying not correct things. Some people are, there are Pacific shields and blah blah, but it's more of a case of, when the distortions come, and I've said this in another video that will come out either after this or before, when distortions come, or when you notice the distortions there, that is a sign to say, I've had enough information from this angle, this angel right now. I'm going to, go where I feel drawn to go, basically, from when you start seeing distortions. So it's not necessarily saying all them people putting things out years ago were purposely doing it. They were emitting their own light, but everyone has distortions. Is it really important to know this? So yeah, so everyone has distortions, and I feel going at it or allowing yourself to speak with the knowing that distortions are going to be there, because that's how reality exists. It needs to be distorted to exist, so distortions are going to be there. However, the aim is to clear the image. So anyone watching this video from wherever in 2030, 2040, 2050, this is it, okay? This is important. The image is to basically get clearer and clearer and clearer. So those presenting the image before were just not able to give that image, that clearer image, because it is the next one's task to do that, essentially. So I feel that those creative, just allowing yourself to talk, just to express basically yourself, what you feel, not what you're feeling, just your creativity, just, I don't know, but I feel whatever, or what I feel drawn to express, I feel I'm just now coming from that angle, allow myself to do it without judgment, without thinking, like, or without entertaining the thought forms popping into my head of, you shouldn't really post that though, no one's really going to be interested in that, or no one's going to understand what you're saying, you know, things like that. Things like that, because at the end of the day, this is our playground, people. It's our playground, and I feel we're meant to play, and play involves thought forms, imaginations, because that's where it begins. And you have to get that out there. It doesn't matter if there's going to be distortions, they will get cleared, because we're in this all together. We're in this all together. So yeah, with that being said, I feel that that is the purpose of life again. Another purpose. Just, you're meant to allow your creativity to spiral out. Basically, just allow it to spiral out, and it doesn't matter, because distortions can be cleared. Even if it's information coming in at a later date, I know my children will be clearing up a lot of distortions in terms of higher learning, a perspective, higher wisdom, you know. So the magical, especially in the magical, they're going to be clearing up a lot of distortions. They're going to take us in a different direction, basically, this generation. So yeah, so you've got permission. I give you permission to just create and be. Create and be. It doesn't matter about the distortions. It's okay. They're going to get cleared. It's part of the program. It's part of the program. And part of the program is seeing the creative expressions of all individually. So with that being said, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts, basically? What are your thoughts? So many times we're knocked down when it comes to sharing our imagination. And I feel there's been a reason for that, because we're just meant to go wild. We're meant to go wild. So yes, with that being said, that is all I'm going to say. Let me know your comments down below. I'd love to know. And yeah, if this type of content is interested to you, then stick around, because I'm giving myself permission even more. Things are making more sense to me now, and I have a lot to share with my higher learning perspective before we get into changing foundations and building a solid structure. Okay. Okay, we're on that part now in the natural cycle. So